Amazon's The Wheel of Time. Where to begin? I've thought about this from every angle that I could conceive. You know, how to approach covering this. Well, I mean, obviously the first thing you think is, well, why not just episodically? Just, one at a time. Problem with that is the show is so bad and so irresponsible with the source material. And the writers are so arrogant in thinking that they could ignore all of Robert Jordan's carefully laid plans. I ended up with just so much stuff. Like, this is all from episode 1 right here. It's all of this is episode 1. If I did it episodically, each video would have been easily 2 hours long. Probably minimum. Another way I thought of that it might work is if I broke it down into subjects, like ideas and themes that get ignored or forgotten, places where time is wasted, things that they fail to achieve, Dark Friends, the presence and weight of the One Power, the Dark One's touch, the size of the world. But again, there's so much wrong with the show, I'd never be able to stop. I'd be inundated with Wheel of Time content, and my channel would just sort of become that. So I don't know. Let's just do it like this. Okay, so in this retarded scene, Moiraine is getting dressed and she is putting on her Aes Sedai uniform, which I'm sorry. The unnuanced perspective on this is that the women of the different Ajahs are going to dress in their colors, and that's just the way it is. In the good version of this story, which is the books, Aes Sedai do tend to prefer the colors of their Ajah, but first of all, not always, and second of all, it's always in common dress. They don't have a uniform. In this, they basically all dress the same. You could see like little differences in their attire, but mostly they all look the same, and it makes them stand out like sore thumbs.
The man who brought the breaking of the world. They named Dragon. Oh, this man has been born again. We don't know where or to whom, if he was reborn as a girl or a boy. The only thing we know for certain is that this child is coming of age now.
That is not the only thing that you know for certain. You do know for certain that it's going to be a boy. That narrows your search down by 50%. The One Power, which comes from the true source, is the essence of all life and the energy source that drives the universe. The force the creator made to turn the wheel of time. Saidin, the male half of the true source, and Saidar, the female half, work against each other and at the same time together to provide that force. This is canon. This is in the books. This is in the Wikipedia. Like, anywhere you go, other than Rafe Judkins' writing room, you'll find that it's the building blocks of the whole story, okay? But of course, Judkins insisted on doing this because of feminism. And because during the time that they were writing this, it was the woke revolution, which was less of a revolution, more of like a tidal wave of retard. That's how it is in the books, and you're adapting the books. So I'm getting worked up. This is another reason that it's been so difficult for me to make this series. Every time I watch this show, I get mad. This guy's like dry humping the ground for no goddamn reason. It's an acting choice. Don't be mean about the acting, GK.
This power, it's meant for women. And women alone. And when you touch it, you make it filthy.
That's what she said.
In this scene, blah, 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 blah. I don't care anymore. I don't fucking care anymore. Yeah, see, they're all dressed in red. They're all of them dressed in red. All of them. Like, why are you guys all wearing red? Are you Bloods? No. If there's a group of people all wearing the same... It stands out way more when the White Cloak is looking for Aes Sedai and he's talking to Moiraine, who is a woman, is traveling with a man who carries himself like a warrior, because he is one, with a sword on his back, and she's wearing all blue. She might as well be wearing a sign on her forehead that says, I am an Aes Sedai, please cut my hands off. And that's another thing in this idiot show. They seem to think that the Aes Sedai need to use their hands to channel. They don't. You use your brain to channel. Many Aes Sedai, and this is brought up many times in the books, Robert Jordan was very, very clear on stuff. The Aes Sedai of ancient times would not even need to use their hands, but today's Aes Sedai are less gifted with the one power, so they do sometimes use gestures to assist in a weave that they are trying to do. But in this stupid idiot farce of a show, Rafe Judkins thinks that the Aes Sedai need their hands to weave. And that is evidenced in the fact that that White Cloak character, whose name I will remember later, successfully prevents that Aes Sedai from weaving by cutting off her hands. If she didn't need her hands, why wouldn't the Aes Sedai have used her power to break free? She doesn't have to harm the guy, so she doesn't have to break the 3 oaths. All she has to do is use the one power to cut her own bonds. She could wrap up the White Cloak in air and spank him like the naughty boy he is. She could easily do this. Oh, everything is so bad. I don't even know where I was what was I talking about originally?
Egwene getting pushed off the cliff at the beginning. We need dynamic, interesting visual scenes to film. She's gonna get pushed off a cliff into a river. I wrote it to Rafe. I'm like, why?
Because it looks good on camera.
It looks good on camera, and he didn't actually say that. It's just like, well, there's some things we need to adapt and things like that, and this felt like a good dramatic scene for our actors to do. And,
It's my honor to welcome you to the Women's Circle.
She's just braiding her hair. This is a thing that they do in the Two Rivers, but it's literally like the women's circle of each village decides that you have shown yourself to be mature enough to be able to get married. That's what the braid means. But in this, it's like, oh, it's the rite of passage because you're a girl. Oh my God. Let me throw you off of a cliff into the rapids below, probably killing you. The sea is always right. Yeah, the books don't start like this. All right. And this is a place where they waste a ton of time. You could have just followed what happens in the book. It's a much more engaging opening scene, and it establishes all kinds of stuff that they completely forget about. Like, for instance, the long winter that this world is going through as a result of the touch of the Dark One. The Dark One has begun to be able to influence the world once again. This is not represented in the show at all. Winter is not here. This is a beautiful day. Look at this. Egwene is wearing sandals. So Egwene gets pushed off of a cliff. She doesn't die. She gets a cut on her arm. She comes back to the Two Rivers, and Rand is like, what were you doing? Good, because he's all cucked out and shit. And then Moiraine and Lan arrive. Lan comes in, and he makes an entrance because he wants to draw as much attention to himself as humanly possible, because he's definitely not on a mission where the world is at stake if they fail that mission. So he definitely wants as many eyes on him as humanly possible. And he's doing this under the orders of Moiraine, who has told him, go inside, make a big fucking deal out of it, and then announce me, and I'll walk in all cool and shit, and everybody will be all freaked out, and we'll definitely impress ourselves upon their memories for all time, because this is a town that is out in the middle of nowhere who gets excited when a peddler comes to town because they're going to get news of the outside world, and they're going to get to buy pots and pins and shit like that for the first time in 6 months. Let's make sure that we really make an impression here. I want them to remember us, because they're definitely not on an important mission. It's fine. Perrin gets told by Nynaeve that he should go and fucking help his wife do his work.
Iron's hard to work alone.
He's the blacksmith of Emmons Field instead of Master Luhan, who is no longer in the story because he was too cool of a character. Let's add a girl because, retarded reasons. Like Rafe Judkins thinks that having more female representation is needed in this story that has full factions that are all women. Okay, so this is something that Rafe Judkins probably thinks he's really clever for, but you're not, Rafe. You're not. You're a hack. Yeah, she has this thing where she grabs his finger, and she does it when he kills her in this episode. She does it here. She does it in a scene. It's just like happens like out of nowhere. Like they show them waking up, and she grabs his finger. And then later, when he accidentally kills her like a dumb fuck, she grabs his finger then too. And it's like, oh, you remember that? No, we don't remember that because she was barely a character. How many earrings do you have? Why are you so upset? Oh, probably because you've been working at the forge while he fucks off and plays with his friends. Is she pregnant? Isn't he like grabbing her belly right here or something? Yeah, like right here. Yeah. See right here how he grabs her belly like that? They completely gloss over this later on. They don't bring it up ever again. But that's something you do when your wife is pregnant. That's not something you do when your wife is just hanging out. It's a pregnant belly. So she's look. Pretty sure she's pregnant. Now, like I said, they don't bring it up ever again. So, well, I'm going to have to look it up now. Perrin's wife, Layla Dern? Shouldn't it be Layla Abara, since that's Perrin's last name? No. Okay, so no, she, well, according to this, she's not supposed to be pregnant here. But I don't think that was always the case. Or else, why the fuck would you show that?
Perrin does not have a wife in the books. It replaces a scene later in the first book where he kills some white cloaks with a bit of berserker rage. I didn't like Perrin's wife being killed. I understood why he put that scene there. I think Perrin berserking during the Trolloc attack and killing somebody on accident or wounding someone is a really important scene, particularly if you're going to cut the white cloaks thing that he just doesn't have time for.
In chapter 37, The Long Chase, Nynaeve, Lan, and Moiraine free Perrin and Egwene from the White Cloaks. This doesn't happen, of course, unless we get the scene where Perrin kills the White Cloaks, which doesn't happen unless we get Elias and the wolves before the Tinkers, and then the ravens, which there's this whole scene where a school of corrupted ravens attacks them and chases them, and they almost get shredded by them, except they find the steading and the ravens won't go in there because it's like basically consecrated ground. But in a way cooler way, if you read the book, it's so much better than that. And of course, if we do get the White Cloaks imprisonment of Perrin and Egwene, we could have met Child Byar, the Lord Captain Commander Bornhold. We would have gotten to see Lan fight without weapons, Moiraine use the one power. We would have seen Nynaeve find Bella and flirt with Lan a little bit. Not to mention, him being all sad about killing his wife doesn't actually end up resulting in more character development than we could have gotten from his imprisonment, being kicked in the ribs over and over and over again by Child Byar, and coming to grips with the fact that he's now a freak who can talk to wolves, which in his view is almost as bad as being a dark friend. Oh god, there's so many things as bad about this. It's just like layer after layer after layer of garbage and diarrhea and just regular solid poop. Not only that, but they're trying to portray that he has an issue with his rage, which he does not have. You are making that up. He has an issue where he is letting the wolf that is growing inside of him take over too much. That's it. That's what he's got. He has incredibly good self-control in the books because he's always been so huge and so strong that he's always been afraid to hurt people. And so he holds back. And besides, it's only in the wolf dream. When he's not in the wolf dream, he's just Perrin. And he's not going through that here anyway. He hasn't met the guide yet, which is Elias. I don't even know if we meet him in the first season. We haven't met him in the first 5 episodes. So the whole thing about him having rage issues and you trying to speed up that development, I reject it. Get it out of here. But yeah, all of that would have taken effort. But Rafe Judkins was looking for a cheat code to fast track Perrin's development. And that's why we get this stupid edition. That's the whole reason. There's laziness and not having any confidence in your ability to write, which in fairness, if I were Rafe Judkins, I wouldn't have any confidence in my ability to write either. And what do we get? What do we learn about Perrin? We learn what? Perrin is the type of person who would be sad if he accidentally killed his wife like a dumb fuck. I feel like most people would be sad about that, right? So, I mean, does that really tell us anything that we don't already assume would be true about him? What else? Perrin is panicky and half retarded. I know I'm not being fair. I'm not being fair on purpose. The show wasn't fair to Perrin, so I'm not being fair to the show. Fuck this show. Every single time I talk about this show, I get like this. I get all worked up. Let's go through the rest of the episode as fast as I can. Okay, so another thing that they do in this retarded episode is they make Matt's parents into absolute losers. His mom is like a meth head or something, or a crackhead, or a fucking heroin addict. His dad is like a philanderer, or maybe even a pedo. He's like flirting with this younger woman right in front of the entire village, which if you read these books, that would never happen. Abel Cawthon is actually a really cool guy. He's like Matt, but like grown up. Like Brandon Sanderson said this about him.
If you could take someone on a quest, I'd pick Matt's dad. He would keep you entertained, but he's not going to be irresponsible. You get the sense he was really irresponsible when he was younger, and now he's learned how to be a responsible individual. This is one of the ones that the fans are up in arms on, and I actually warned Rafe about this. I'm like, come on. You don't have to do this to Abel Cawthon, do you? He is the delight throughout the books. He has very bit parts, but when he shows up, you have a good time.
And if you understand that about Abel Cawthon, I don't see why you wouldn't be absolutely infuriated by this. That is by the numbers character assassination. Rand and Egwene do it. That's basically just another Game of Thrones-ification of this story, which is a wholesome story. They're trying to make it into Game of Thrones. And just so you know, in the books, Rand and Egwene never do it. They don't do it. They're not doing it. They don't do it. They are all but promised to each other, but they don't do it because they aren't married, and they live in a place where they are raised wholesomely, which means you got to get married before you start, doing that kind of thing. It's not Game of Thrones. Okay, this is a fucked up thing, is that we need that. Our country, our fucking world, we need wholesome, just like good old fashioned love and heroism and standing up against evil. We need that shit. What we definitely don't need any more of is like moral gray area. We don't need to explore that anymore. Okay, not only are we swimming in it in the entertainment world, but also the world, we have that in the world too, morally gray, which is one of the reasons that it's kind of cool in movies and shows and stuff like that. Sometimes, not all the time, you guys, there's a balance. Where's the balance? There's no balance anymore. Moving past it, Moiraine and Lan take a bath together, implying what? That they have the kind of relationship where they take baths together. It doesn't happen in the books. I'll tell you that. If you read the books, Moiraine and Lan would never do this. It's stupid. Moving past it, yeah, they did it. This is like the one thing that I kind of thought was cool, which is the Murdral. Okay, now when I first saw this guy, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty cool at least. But then later on, he like opens his mouth and he shrieks and he's got all these sharp teeth. It's so stupid, dude. It's like, yeah, okay, I see what you did there. You went lazy. You couldn't restrain yourself. You couldn't do what was in the books. You had to go full demon and just be like, yeah, that's what they are. But dude, the Murdral, they talk. Like with the teeth that they have, they would never be able to talk unless they psychically talk to you. But now you're changing the fucking lore, aren't you? Padon Fane is black. Really wouldn't have much of an issue with that because he's from off, but he's actually one of the few characters who are described as being white.
The man on the wagon was Padon Fane, a pale, skinny fellow with gangly arms and a massive beak of a nose. A pale, skinny fellow, pale, skinny, pale.
It's like the one character that they specifically say is white. Like everybody else, there's kind of an argument for it. Even Egwene, there's kind of an argument for it. Even though she's not brown. She's Indian in this. But the people of the Two Rivers, and this is a point that they drive pretty hard in the books, they live out in the middle of nowhere, okay? It's the whole reason the Dark One hasn't found them until now. It's the whole reason that Moiraine hasn't found them until now. And it's the reason that the Two Rivers lads haven't been killed or abducted by fucking Dark Friends. They are secluded. They are blocked off on all sides except for one. There's like one road leading into the Two Rivers. They are way out in the boonies, and they've always been out there. They've been out there for thousands of years at this point. You're not going to have a diverse population when those are the conditions. That's just not how science works. So it is a huge distraction to have the Two Rivers look like downtown LA. It's fucking retarded, and we all know why it's happening. They make Matt a thief, and a stupid thief too, because he lives in the Two Rivers where anyone who's a thief would get found out like very, very easily, everybody knows each other's names. It's a small town. It does not happen in the book. Matt has never been a thief. He will never be a thief. He was not even close to a thief. He's a scoundrel. You know, he likes to do pranks. He's cocky. You know, he likes the ladies. He likes to gamble. That's his character. He's not a fucking thief. All of the characters have something in common, which is that they are all good people, strong, good, steadfast characters that come from a good, wholesome upbringing, which is the foundation that they stand upon through all of the stuff that they go through in this story, because they're about to go through literal hell. And what keeps them going? Their upbringing. The fact that they were brought up right. It's important to establish their wholesomeness, because not only does it give them a lot more of a pronounced arc, but it also gives their characters a much stronger base. You know, you can believe that they could actually tolerate the torment that they are about to suffer because they're brought up right. They're brought up strong, morally strong, emotionally strong, physically strong. But no, we're not going to get that. We're going to get the Game of Thrones-ification of that. Moiraine is the most obvious Aes Sedai on the planet. She stands there like she's in her own bubble and looks out at everybody else. She actually has an opportunity to warn the people of Emond's Field of the coming assault and prepare them in some way, shape, or form, but she doesn't take it.
You didn't sleep last night. You think one of the eyeless is already here? Then we both have work to do today.
At the very least, she could have warned them to hide in basements and stuff like that. Not to mention the fact that in the books, which is the most important thing, the Myrddraal and the Trollocs are not trying to kill everybody at Emond's Field. They are looking for someone. And it's important because the day after, when they're looking through the wreckage, Moiraine and Lan determined that they were looking for someone, which is how they determine that they are looking in the right place for who they're looking for. All of this stuff comes out in the book in a really cool way, and you get this awesome scene where Rand is bringing his father to Emond's Field. He's having to drag him there after having been wounded. You get to see Tam actually kick ass because Tam is a low-key badass. He doesn't get fucked up by one Trolloc. He actually takes out multiple Trollocs easily. The only reason that he gets even scratched by them is because he's trapped in the fucking little ass house with a whole bunch of them. He also gets away, and like there's a bunch of them that are dead. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff that they just leave it out. I'm doing it again.
Then we both have work to do today.
We both have work to do today. I also hate how they talk. Nobody says blood and bloody ashes. Nobody says burn me. Nobody says, they say light a couple of times, but they'll say stupid stuff like, oh, in Light's name. Light doesn't have a name. Like, I see what you're doing. You're replacing in God's name with in Light's name. But God is a name, using slang like bollocks and piss and shit. That I hate it. I just fucking hate it. Moiraine is openly rude to Nynaeve, which never happens in the book because Moiraine isn't a cunt. She's got self-control. She would never do that. Nynaeve is rude to Moiraine, and it's all but unheard of to be rude to an Aes Sedai, but Nynaeve doesn't give a fuck because she's just is the way she is. That's part of her character. But Moiraine handles it like a fucking pro. She handles it like it ain't no thing, because to her, it's not. She has learned ultimate patience. Her Aes Sedai training has prepared her for people being rude to her sometimes. She's openly rude to Nynaeve, and she's deliberately provocative toward her.
They call you a leader in this town, Wisdom, and here you are cleaning.
Look at you. You might as well be licking people's buttholes. That is not something. I'm sorry. It just never. Moiraine would never do. She would never do it. She would never do it. She would never do it. She would never. I hate this show. Moving past it.
You're not from here, are you? The old Wisdom brought you here when you were a baby.
Moiraine is looking for the Dragon Reborn. The prophecy is that the Dragon Reborn will be a man. But they keep implying that Moiraine thinks that it's possible that Nynaeve could be the Dragon Reborn, which, as an expert in these matters, means it is possible, which is stupid as fuck and breaks the entire story. For one thing, it removes all of the stakes, because the male half of the true source is tainted by the Dark One and makes men who wield it go insane and eventually kill themselves and everyone around them. And it's the reason that people fear men who can channel. But more than that, the madness itself actually plays a huge role in how the Dragon Reborn will ultimately defeat the Dark One. Not to mention the prophecies of the dragon and the Carathian cycle. Not to mention the world building aspect where it's the lore, but knowing Rafe Judkins, he'll probably just cut all of that. Moving on.
The woman who raised me, she went to the White Tower. She walked. Took her months. And when she got there, your sisters took one look at her ragged clothes, her peasant accent, and they turned her away.
The Aes Sedai's numbers in the White Tower are dwindling. Some believe the reason for that is because they always gentle men who can channel, culling the ability to use the one power out of humankind by doing that. Aes Sedai would never turn someone away just because they were poor. That's not a thing, okay? The Aes Sedai aren't like, look at how poor she is. Oh my God, that is gross. You are misrepresenting the Aes Sedai, and you're, yeah, that's fucking annoying. They would never do that. They would never, ever, ever. Especially a woman who was born with the spark. Because those have the potential to become very powerful wielders of the one power. And most women, I think they say like 1 in 3 die if they aren't taught to control their ability with the one power. It will kill them most of the time, which is a really high chance of dying, by the way. 33% chance that you're gonna die. Or it might be 1 in 3 survive, actually. I'm not sure. I'm dyslexic. I might have that backwards. It might be 1 in 3 survive. I'm not looking it up. So, yeah, this scene is bullshit. This is another example of the fact that Lan and Moiraine knew that there was a threat and they didn't warn anybody. This is just another thing. In the book, there's actually a reason that Moiraine and Lan aren't able to sense the Trolloc invasion until it's too late. It's a whole plot point, as a matter of fact, because they have to use that thing to, in order to, do another thing that they're going to do in the book. I'm not going to spoil it because the book is actually super fucking awesome and you should definitely read it. This never happens. Dumb. The stupid lantern thing, that's not a thing. They just made that up. It's another place where they waste a bunch of time and they could have been doing something else with that time. And the reason that they keep giving for all the dumb shit that they do is time related stuff. So fuck you. You could have managed your time better. Don't care. It's dumb. Lan doesn't have his color shifting cloak, which would have been fucking neat as hell to see that. I've been picturing it in my brain for the last 20 fucking years. Would have been nice to see that. Moving past it, another example of them knowing something before and they could have warned people.
Dozens. We need to leave. Now.
Lan is a midget in this, by the way. Lan might as well be 4 feet tall. In fact, I'm pretty sure he is 4 feet tall. And Rosamund Pike is way too tall to play Moiraine. Moiraine is supposed to be a Cyrienan, and Cyrienans are like short people. They are short people. And Lan is huge. He's like 9 feet tall. He's not 9 feet tall. Lan is like 6.5 feet tall, though. Oh, wait. No, I wrote it down. Lan Mandragoran is 6'5.5". He's really, really tall. But I'm not going to say anything more. Okay. Can't say that either without ruining stuff. Oh, and God, what they did to Loyal. Oh, fuck, dude. Oh, I'm not going there. We're not going there. I'm at 2 hours, 30 minutes. Fuck my... Push past it. Okay, now the Trollocs and the Myrddraal are the only things that they got even close to correct. I'm actually pretty okay with the Trollocs in this. The Myrddraal, they got right until they open their mouth, and then it's like, no, why are you doing that? No. Yeah, see, the Trollocs are pretty good, but it was pretty important that you show the Trollocs looking for something. This is not an attack. This is a raid. There is a difference, a very important difference. When you're raiding, you're looking for something. When you're attacking, you're trying to murder everybody. That's the big difference. Pretty important. In the book, they don't show any of the attack on Emond's Field because the book focuses on Rand and Tam. So all that battle stuff that they showed at Emond's Field, they could have spent on this. Tam covering for Rand so that he can get away, which shows how much Tam cares about his son, by the way. That's character development. You could show Tam actually kicking some ass. You could even show them doing their chores for world building. Oh, that's not fun to watch. It doesn't have to take up a lot of time. In fact, it doesn't take up a lot of time, not even in the book, but you show it because it's important for their characters to show where they came from. And in doing so, you could show a little bit of the layout of the farm so that you have a frame of reference in your mind. You can understand the attack a little bit better. And then, of course, you're going to see Tam meet back up with Rand, him figuring out that his dad's dying and that he needs to get him back to Emond's Field. This is where the episode should be. All the stuff that happens at Emond's Field is all crap that didn't happen in the book, and showing it, it's just worse storytelling. This is like the one cool thing that happens. Tam gets to fight for 2 seconds. But instead of killing this fucking Trolloc like that, he like nicks him a couple of times. Non-fatal. 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 One Trolloc just totally dominates Tam. And then Rand saves him by spearing him through the neck. What happens in the book is better on every level. But this is like the best scene in the entire episode. And they did that so that they could cut the scene short so that they could show more of Moiraine, which the book's not about Moiraine, okay? Just so you guys know, Moiraine's not the main character. Rand is the main character. He's always going to be the main character. He was always the main character. From the beginning of the story, he was the main character. To the end of the story, he's the main character. There are many characters who are almost at the same level as Rand in terms of importance, but Rand is the central focus of the story, not Moiraine. Moiraine is actually a side character. None of this stuff happens. It's all stupid. It's kind of cool to see Moiraine fighting with the One Power, but there are hundreds of places where you can show Moiraine fight with the One Power. You could have shown a little bit of restraint. You didn't have to blow your load in the first episode. Oh yeah, another thing that happens in this is in the fight at Emond's Field, like all of the men are hiding. The only man that they show fighting is Lan. Oh wait, and Perrin, but Perrin accidentally kills his wife, so I don't even count that. Every other man is hiding. Look how much damage she's doing to a Trolloc. She is fucking this Trolloc up. And Tam? I hate this show. She takes out her Trolloc before Perrin takes out his Trolloc. This is a little girl. Perrin has the physical strength to actually go toe-to-toe with a Trolloc. It's so stupid, dude. She doesn't have powers. She doesn't have training. The most you can say is that she's a blacksmith, which undermines Perrin's entire character because there's this whole thing that he goes through where he has to decide between the axe and the hammer. A huge part of Perrin's character is that he is a blacksmith, and that's not just his job. He has the heart of a blacksmith, and it's a whole thing. It's not just about the axe and the hammer. It's about who he wants to be, and it ties in with the whole duality between human nature and wolf nature that he's also going through. It's this whole thing, dude. It's like Rafe Judkins either doesn't give a fuck about it or he doesn't even know it exists. Dude, I shouldn't understand the characters better than the guy who's doing the adaptation. I hate this show. Yeah, see right here, they're trying to show his rage. He doesn't have rage. He doesn't have a rage to show. It's all made up. Also weird, but Layla or whatever the fuck, the girl who doesn't exist is about to hit something. She's got her hammer raised up above her head like she's about to slam some shit. Now, her Trolloc is already dead. There's no other Trolloc. Watch. Yeah, no Trollocs. They're all dead. They're alone. Skipping past it. Oh, yeah. Another thing that happens is that Moiraine destroys the city. She uses the rocks from the houses and shit. She doesn't use the rocks from the ground like she totally could have, like she does in the book, and not in this scene, in a different scene, because this scene doesn't exist in the books. She could literally like make the ground beneath them explode. With her Ongrill, she can amplify her ability to use the one power. And in the beginning of this episode, they show her bring it with her. So she definitely has it. It's just a choice that the character makes to use the stones that are holding up the house instead of using stones from the ground. And she uses that to finish off the Trollocs. You destroyed the inn, dude. And now the entire place is destroyed, mostly because of Moiraine, who was supposed to be trying to help them. And nobody says anything about it. Nobody's like, hey, stupid Aes Sedai lady, why did you destroy our village? The Trollocs actually weren't fucking up the village that much. They did a little bit of damage, but it just seemed like they were looking for something. You did the majority of the damage. Why did you do that? If you read the first 8 chapters of the first book, you know that what we got here in that, like, what, 10-second long interaction represents like 3 chapters. Rand gets there and he seems concerned about his father. Fair enough. But in the book, there's a very emotional scene. He comes here, he's like in a daze. He's absolutely exhausted. He finds Egwene and she's like, oh, bring him to Nynaeve. And then Nynaeve sees the wound and goes, I can't heal that. I'm sorry. Other people need my help. Egwene, I need your help. Come with me. And there's this moment. There's this moment where Egwene just dies on the inside because she has to leave and go help people, where Rand, the guy that she actually loves, like she has to watch all the hope like just drain out of him. And then Tom Marilyn is like, you know, Aes Sedai are known to heal. I don't know. It's not for me to decide, though, because, you know, not everyone wants to get involved with Aes Sedai. But he does it in a way where Rand comes to it on his own. It's just some clever dialogue that they completely cut out. It's like this whole sequence of events that leads to Tam getting healed, Lan and Moiraine determining from the aftermath that the Trollocs were looking for the same thing they're looking for, which makes them also determine that what they are looking for they were right about, and that the 3 Two Rivers lads need to go with them. Or in the case of the idiot show, the 5 Two Rivers people. There's all kinds of cool scenes that come along with this too. God damn it. Dude, this show sucks so fucking bad. It's fine. It's fine. The show is terrible. Just so you guys know, a whole bunch of cool shit happens that's like really strong, good fucking writing that doesn't happen here. They don't do it.
The Dark One is waking, but there will be one who can stand against him. The dragon has been born again, and it's one of you.
She just says it. She just says it all in one. It's so lazy, dude. It's the things that she is saying to them in this scene could get her stilled and executed. Looking for the dragon reborn without the knowledge of the Hall of the Tower, it's treason. Like, there's a reason why in the book she keeps her cards really close to her chest. The world is filled with the Dark One's spies. There's Dark Friends, there's ravens, crows, rats. The forces of the Dark One are actively searching for these people. She knows this. Secrecy is not just necessary, it's paramount. In the book, she understands this. In the show, she's like, we'll just tell him. It's fine. No, there's no danger in you guys knowing that not only has the dragon been reborn and the last battle is coming, which means the end of the fucking world, by the way. The dragon reborn, which is the hand of the creator, is going to do battle with the equivalent of Satan, the Dark One. That's not a small thing. Don't you think it should be handled delicately? Whatever. So suffice it to say, this scene is incredibly stupid.
You're coming with me.
We can't just leave.
They're after you. We leave now.
This conversation happens more or less. This is just rushed. It's not all that bad. And it is a conversation that you would have if you were in the position that these characters are in. But it is a conversation that needed a lot more room to breathe and just didn't get it because Rafe Judkins is a bad writer. I'm sorry. He's a bad writer. If I can do a better job than you, you're not good at what you do. So that's it. That's the end of the episode. They just decide, okay, it's time to go now. Okay, bye. We're leaving. They leave and the Trollocs are following them actively. They can totally see them following them, which doesn't happen in the book because the Trollocs don't actually know where they are. It's not a huge force that attacked Emond's Field. It's a smaller force that's like going in to look for something and they get repelled. And because the enemies do actually kind of have a sense of like, I don't want to lose all of my troops because then I wouldn't have anything to fight with. And it later gets revealed that the enemy does have a thing that they're using to follow them. And Moiraine does a series of things to throw them off the scent as well. And they sneak out in the middle of the night. And anyway, pretty much everything that they do in episode 1, there is something meaningfully wrong with it. And most of what they do in episode 1 is completely retarded. So I don't know. That's episode 1. We did it. How many times did I go off on rants? Like 100. So that should be fun to edit. And nobody watches this show. So the only people who are going to probably watch this episode are people who liked the show. So I'm just going to be pissing people off. Woohoo! But yeah, so there you go. This show is dog ass. I don't want it. I'm done. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in episode 2, where I'll probably die of rage. I'm gonna go drink alcohol, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. They make Matt poor as well. Why are you making Matt poor? Why does he have to be poor? None of these people would be poor. They live in a self-sustained village where their currency is mostly like favors and cows and all that shit. They are self-sustainable, which is another reason that you need the winter, because that's all threatened by the winter. You got rid of the winter completely. Everybody's real comfortable. It's not even cold.